Welcome back to The Dive. Today on the show, we have the founder and CEO of Bubba Trading. Todd Bubba Horwitz is joining us. He's going to share his thoughts on Elon Musk owning Twitter, the Fed's latest 75 basis point hike, Japan spending $25 billion propping up the yen, wheat prices, the diesel shortage, iron, gold, and the stories that he's following during earnings season. But before we bring him on, if you could do me one quick little favor before we begin and just tap that subscribe button, that would be amazing. Hey, Bubba, welcome back to The Dive.
Great to be with you, Cassandra. Always a pleasure.
Okay, so let's start off with the big headlines. Elon Musk now owns Twitter. Where do you think Twitter goes from here?
Well, I mean, first of all, Twitter's going to go private. He's going to take it private, which makes a lot of sense. And he's going to, I believe, open it up to everybody and stop with all the bots and all the other crap that has gone on with Twitter over the years. And I think he's going to make it a truly free speech platform, which is like no other one we have right now. Obviously, I think only screening for hate speech or things like that. But I think as far as if you have a liberal or a conservative opinion, I think you'll be able to post it on Twitter without fear of it being taken down.
The Fed just raised rates 75 basis points. Do you think that this is the last big hike?
No, I don't, Cassandra. One of the things that we know is that inflation is still at runaway pace, even though we've seen some pullback in some of the like in oil and some other things. But right now there's a shortage in diesel fuel. There's many other shortages out there. And I think a lot of these lower like oil prices right now are more being controlled by Saudi Arabia and China and Russia trying to suppress them going into our election, because, of course, they would love to keep the same administration in full power because they've basically turned everything over to them and gave them basic control of our country.
What are you watching now as early voting is underway for the midterm elections?
Well, I think it's hard to really watch because, the way that, voting goes here with the early voting and you don't know how things come in. But I think, listen, here's the bottom line. If the House does not turn red, which is historical, forget about how you think of how the administration is doing. Historically, the House turns at the midterm election. And if it doesn't turn, I think there could be a lot of trouble in this country, including maybe the start of a revolutionary war.
Now, the Financial Times reported Japan spent $25 billion defending the yen last week. Where do you think this is going?
Well, I think the yen, like the rest of the fraudulent fiat currencies, are going down to basically zero. I mean, I think the overall currency market, when they stopped using, like in the United States, gold as a backing for currency, that gave the central banking system the full license to not steal, but license to steal, right? It's allowing them to manipulate and bring dollars cheaper, which is basically how we get more inflation, which is also taxation without representation. And this is, I think, the plan, because I think overall they're looking for more of a digital currency, like a worldwide digital currency. And I think that's where we're kind of headed, which is not real exciting at the moment.
So shifting to commodities, global wheat prices rose following Russia's withdrawal from the Black Sea grain export deal, which was later reversed by Russia. How closely are you watching wheat prices?
Well, I think this is another case, Cassandra, of some outside play here. The markets in general really lack liquidity. And I think you're seeing some suppression in the grain markets in general. I mean, we're going to have a food shortage and these grain prices are going to explode higher. But I think that for the next week, as we get ready to go into the election, I think you're seeing, a lot of those bigger parties who have the money, who can create the money, are trying to keep pressure on these grain markets until the election is over. And then I think I wouldn't be surprised in corn, see $10 corn, $15 wheat, and $20 beans.
Now, diesel prices increased by 33% for November deliveries. With dwindling diesel reserves, a drought on the Mississippi River pushing more product to rail and truck, and a possible rail strike leading to a surge in prices that is expected to continue, do you think the diesel market is in what they call a perfect storm?
I think the diesel market is going to put the country in one big mess. I mean, maybe one big final mess, but this is ridiculous that we could be in this position because, of course, the trucks and the trains run off of diesel fuel, not to mention the farmers. So you want to talk about chaos. If this really is, if we really run out of diesel fuel, there will be chaos in this country and hoarding of food and goods trying to get things because there will not be deliveries should we really run out.
Iron ore slumped more than 7%, its lowest since early 2019. How big of a factor do you think China is when it comes to iron prices?
China is the biggest player. Listen, China is the master at creating prices. When you can control the inventory and the money, okay, you can do a lot of funny things. And they've done it with copper in the past. They're doing it with iron ore right now. It's really just a big game to them because it really has no real effect on the country, China itself. It has more of an effect on the outside sources that use it. And they start to create these different wacko markets because they can and because they're looking for a place somewhere. And I think this is one of the big problems. China controls the London Metals Exchange. So there's a lot of reason that they're probably forcing prices down so they're actually buying physical behind the scenes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about precious metals. How do you feel about gold right now, given its performance?
Well, I think gold is going lower for the moment. Now, again, long term, I'm a long-term gold bull, but the price action has been very, very bad in gold recently, gold and silver. In fact, it's funny, platinum has become the strongest recently. Now, again, it's pretty weak overall, but I think that the metals are going higher, but I would only be a buyer, and I am a buyer of physical metals and with money that you can afford to invest. Okay, I would not be trying to trade it, trying to trade to the long side because I do think that we're probably going to go down through 1600, maybe test the mid 15s, maybe even lower.
Okay, now we have to ask you about the earnings season. What stories are you following closely?
Well, it's hard to follow earnings season, Cassandra, because listen, we know that the companies kind of play games with earnings. They reduce that, and then they come and they under deliver. They want to over deliver, under promise, over deliver. It's a game, and unfortunately, we can't get the real numbers ahead of time because they're trying to create more investors. They want to keep the stock market rolling along. And these are the things that are going to cause the overall, I think, collapse of the stock market in the near future. Is the games that they're playing. We're not getting true factual evidence, but I think Christmas is going to show the story that the earnings are never going to be able to meet what they should be because we don't have enough goods in the stores to make it. I don't think earnings season has been, again, many have beaten, but they're beating already downtrodden earnings, and they're only going to get worse from here.
Okay, Bubba. Well, that's all we have for you today. Before we let you go, could you let our viewers know where they can go to get more of your commentary?
Absolutely. They can go to bubbatrading.com and get my daily update, or they can email me direct, and I'll be happy to put them on the list at bubbatrading.com. And as always, Cassandra, you're the best. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bubba. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching today. We'll be back again tomorrow, and you're not going to want to miss it. So be sure to stay tuned by hitting that notification bell above me there and subscribing below. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.